How about we bring it in this time, Matt? Just the audio. Yeah, no video that time, just the audio. Sometimes Tuesdays are like that, Matt. Tuesdays are like that. Rain again here in the desert. The desert is turning into a. I'm waiting for the mosquito hatch to happen, right?
That will happen next for
The
sure.
once every 30-year mosquito hatch here in Bend, Oregon, waiting on it. How you doing, man, on a Tuesday? What a fucking hockey game last night, huh?
Our Golden Knights, our West Coast team, our collective West Coast team. It's fun.
And people in Canada,
they gave the beat down to the Montreal Canadiens.
You know, we was watching the game, and the Canadians were all over the Knights the first 7-8 minutes of that game, and then score.
Yeah, but they were all over it, but they weren't getting the best shots, and it was kind of chaotic. And
Marc-Andre Fleury, the French Canadian himself, said no. Several times. The
pad saves he was making early were unbelievable. Honestly, like most goalies, it would have been 2-0 Montreal. But that's why.
Let's go to the U.S. Open. And first, we got
playing this year?
A little video of me last year why I'm not on the tour. Whoa. Anyway, let's get to the it was a long hill. Three-putted after that. Anyway, jump into the odds. Jon Rahm, how about this? 2 negative tests like 3 days after the positive test. Like, did he ever even have it?
No, of course not.
He got ripped off. And the bettors now.
He got PCR.
They're all over him, all over Jon Rahm for stringing together more incredibly awesome golf. I mean, he was blowing away the field. Right?
I'm taking some of those guys. I'm taking I think Schauffele, Morikawa, Spieth, McIlroy, Koepka. I think I've got about 15 guys in my stable, as I told you, anywhere from $1 to $5. My big bets, my $5 bets, and Zalatoris. I always put some money on too at 40-1. So
here's the interesting prop bet I think is out there right now.
Matter of fact, I got to make sure I got Will in.
Hey, Davey Portnoy. All the 50-1s, box them, right? Or let's just have a 50-1 pool, like all the guys that are 50-1.
Yeah.
Mickelson, Smith, Higo, Fitzpatrick,
Zalatoris,
and Fleetwood, all 50-1. Mickelson, man, no respect. Old man won one, he's done. One and done.
And especially no respect considering that's where he grew up. He played
his backyard.
So like he should be at least 25-1 after winning the PGA, and having a few weeks off. I mean, he's been resting. He's been, promoting wine and drinking wine the last few weeks.
A great wine drinker he is.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, let me jump back in because before I share, you know what? Yeah, let me share a couple of other things. In the age of ambiguity that we are. Whoa, what happened there?
Whoa.
I wanted to bring this up. Let's talk AMC first, and then we'll get to let's get some price discovery early in the show as opposed to later in the show. Matt, AMC short sellers just lost $512 million in a single day as the stock spiked once again. The Business Insider. Let me ask you a question. Do you know all these positions are closed out, or are they holding losing positions? I mean, again, in the age of ambiguity, and nuance, it's just brutal how here two things about the headline too.
And we need to talk about that, Bob, because that's 1 hour ago that headline came out, right? 1 hour ago, the stock was, at 8:30, it was the high of the day. It was at $64.50, which was not a new high, but it was the high of the day. And all I have to do is say thank you to all these people that love chasing this stock every day, because it runs up every day and then it sells off. And if you sell the calls, you sell like the 125 strikes for $2 or $3 every day. By the end of the day, they're back to like 50 cents. And you don't even have to trade the stock itself, because the stupidity is off the grid when it comes to these options. I mean, again, the volume of options that is trading in these way out of the monies calls that expire in 3.5 days is just crazy. So when that thing was released, when that Business Insider was released, here we are at 64.75. We just traded through all the lows of the day. So every long for the day, like we like to talk about, Bob, is trapped. So here it is on a micro level. Again, this was 7:30, the opening hour, which is I let that opening hour play out, see if we can break out above the opening hour after the opening hour, and we can't. So if you can't, this is the spot to put on this. This is a really easy spot to put on a short, and that's what we suggested in our private room this morning, that, you know, sell some calls here because we just spent 3 hours and we haven't gone anywhere. And, you know, patience paid. You come back in a couple hours and this thing's down to the low of the day, took out the lows. So, and now it's bouncing back. But again, so I'll happily sell it again if they get it up here by the end of the day, Bob. I mean, it's just
right on. It seems like it's a feedback loop right now. It's not for sure. Some people are making money on the long side. I don't want to. I'm not gonna
listen. I have no problem with that. If you're gambling, and I'll wait for the trades to set up after the gamblers have rushed the casino floor, which they do every morning. And this is why I don't typically trade, or I'll use that first opening, the gap up or the gap down, to take an opposite position. Fade that gap usually is a good, you know, if you've been moving like we have. You got to forget 3 days ago, if you haven't forgotten, we were trading below $40. So in 2 days, 2.5 days, Bob, AMC has gone up 55% again. On what?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people willing and itching to sit in a movie theater. Not.
And that's not going to change. So again, let's look at the big picture. Okay, we came up here, you know, we can't even get to this high. We took out this middle high, but now we're back below it, or we're right at it. 61 was basically this high. We're trading at 60.
Good, and you're like beating a fucking drum every day on the volume. Look at the volume again.
It's going down every day. And all they're doing is they're sucking in as many people as they can, and they're selling at these higher prices. The larger money is happy. They'll pull their offers and let you rise it up, and then they'll just come in with a monster order and they'll kill you. And this is what happens every day.
Right, and that feedback loop is for the novice longs. When they read that headline, they need therapy. Like, how come I'm losing money also if the shorts are losing money?
When they read that headline, you know, we've already turned down. Like that, by the time the editor saw that article by the journalism major from Missouri who doesn't know anything about markets, it was already down $5, and that 500 million actually was in the pockets of the shorts, taking it from the longs. So that's the funny part about stupid articles like that.
So let me ask you a question. Do you take not offense isn't the right word. We don't spend a lot of time in shame and guilt and offense, but Business Insider would seem to indicate that they have better information.
I am grateful for the Business Insider. I'm grateful for Yahoo Finance. I'm grateful for the Motley Fool. I'm grateful for Jim Cramer. I'm grateful for any pumpers. I'm grateful for the Twinklevoss twins. I'm always grateful for pump shops, because
right on, baby. Right
there's
on.
There's no dump shops. There's all pump shops.
And there's the don't. Here he is right here. Mistrade. The don't. The greatest don't around.
I'm here to hammer
yours. All right, let me move on, Matt.
When the rest of the market and when the overall, you know, SPOOs made another new high overnight, but they sell off in the open too.
Yeah, we're getting there. You're getting ahead of me. Hold on.
No, but I'm just saying, like, there's nothing going on in the broader market.
Oh yeah, I know. You shared that too. All the indexes down and AMC fucking moonshot.
Right. So I'm happy to play the meme stock boys every day because it gives me something to do and some, you know, money to be made. And we know that there's always money to be spent when you have 4 kids and they're in college. And so I'm grateful, Bob. I'm grateful for.
Right on. All right. Give me the screen back.
Got it.
All right. Moving on, Matt. Moving on. We have a few tweets here that I captured that I thought were fantastic. Winning the internet. This is Dick. Dick moved out of a blue state to escape Democrat high taxes and failed policies. Dick moved to a red state, but still votes for Democrats who will raise taxes and implement failed policies. Don't be a dick. I don't know. I thought it was funny. And then we saw this breaking news. Merrick Garland, our Attorney General for the U.S. of A., again, with beating this drum that white supremacists are the most dangerous threat to our society. And I'm going to give some serious pushback on this. And we're going to talk about price discovery around it, because scenes like this, I think this was actually an older scene, maybe not, of loot. Like, what happens if Kyle Bass is right, and inflation is more like 12%. If the PPI number, I thought it was 6%, the largest year-on-year increase ever.
6.6, by the way.
6.6 ever. Like, how ugly does this get when people really start getting squeezed?
Yeah.
White supremacy is not the greatest threat in this country, right? It's failed economic policies that are going to come home to roost. And let's take a look at the bonds, because
wait, hold on before we move over from that, because if we have white supremacy and we have the leader of the free world's son using the N-word, where's the white supremacy? Is it in the White House? Is it in the mirror? Like, because I don't see it on the streets. I don't see it.
I've been saying this for years.
I don't see. I mean, I grew up in Detroit. I grew up in there. There's not. I mean, people, live together in this country. I don't think the rampant white hate is going crazy out there. So again, the woke culture, even people like Kevin Hart, who are being canceled for being funny, are over this shit. Like, they're over it. And, it's not the biggest problem that we have. And I refuse to listen to the narrative. I turn it off as soon as I hear it, because it's garbage.
Well, Shaq said the same thing. And
pure garbage.
But anyway, I mean, seriously, like the when the middle class and the lower class gets squeezed because of pricing, right? That's when you actually have outbreaks, and it's just everybody fend for themselves at some point.
Yeah, and it's not white on black, black on white, gray on purple. It is all for one and all for none. That's what, to your point, the increase in prices is going to drive the discourse, not stupid white supremacy talk, because there's no KKK meetings going on in the town squares. I mean, wake the.
All right, man, let's go to the bonds.
Stop it.
You want me to bring them up? Because
you bring them up.
All right, let me bring up the bonds, because we talked about it last week, I believe. Hold on. And I talked about, there's an interesting thread too about the crypto, and we're going to get to the crypto in a second here, about how we've made the bottom. And I'm like, the longer term chart has to weigh in here. And I'll show that for a second here too. But again, this was the bond, and this is the monthly, Matt, the monthly in the bonds. The standard deviation modeling is fully rolled over and moving lower potentiality. And it, before, when we brought this up last week, it hadn't tested the 160.01. But I said, believe me, there's going to be an argument there. Like in the pit, we used to say, that's like Butkus filling the fucking 2 gap. Like, you ain't getting through there without a monumental fight, because the longer term players are going to show up.
And in all reality,
there's a lot of room. There's a lot of time left in the month. So we can for sure, it can close out of this momentum area. But I'm not sure how rates go very low. How much lower can they go when inflation really starts to pick up? How do those two things jibe? We live in the upside down world, so who knows? Maybe
the Fed's not going to do anything until the fall. That's already been, that's already been said to everybody. So, but at that point, they're not going to go any lower, like to your point either. So at some point, they've got to do something to control these rates, or rather to raise the rates to pull back this market a little bit. And I think that's coming. And I think the market may sell off even before they do it. But again, I still, we have half of June left here. Let me toss up a chart here real quick.
Yeah, let me just say one thing. How about the nuance here too? Because on the weekly, it actually did some good work for a bullish scenario, right? We got a rounding bottom. We got 2 out of 3 weeks in up momentum on the weekly, but it seems to be stalling here. And now when you look at that, for all you chart line drawers and flag formations, it certainly looks more like a flag to me now. And that count is, wow, is that a big count on the weekly? If that's a flag, I mean, you basically take 183 to 153, 30 handles, right? For 60 down to 30.
Yeah.
I just did technical analysis, flag formation in record time. Let's go to the clock because I'm pretty sure it's a Guinness World Record on the analysis of the flag formation on the weekly.
We talked about the bonds last week when they were trading over, 159.5. It just scratched up to 160 on Friday, right? And that was the only day, and even Friday, Bob, we did not hold up there. So we ended up closing Friday. Where were we? Right around here. So even though we didn't close at the high, we closed right around the low of the day, which 11:30 was right around 159. So they threw them over. So one day over this line, and this line is really arbitrary, quite honestly. And I'm going to show you that in a minute when I fractal out.
There's nothing wrong with trading over arbitrary lines.
No, but I'm going to.
No, go ahead.
This is more important, and you can see how it respected this. But if you look on a daily chart, it's the same thing we've been talking about. We're just in this bracket, in a lower bracket at best. And really, for me, you got to get above this 162 solidly and close and hang there for a while, right? That would be the best thing for the bonds. So we're nowhere near bullish. And 160 doesn't mean anything to me. For me, it's been 162. So yeah, we scratched, because all you do is suck people in. Look, they've done it once, they've done it twice now, and they failed both times. So that's not a good sign. Like what is there to, what impetus now are you going to have for the buyers with what we just laid out? Higher inflation, jobs, they can't fill. All this is bad. All this is bad for the bonds, ultimately. And means interest rates have to go higher. And frankly, we've needed that for how long? 12 years. Interest rates should have been going higher, but we've buried ourselves into this hole. And the poor, I mean, think about our parents and the generation there that has saved their whole lives and shouldn't be in the stock market today, but can't get any yield in the bond market. It's horrible. Right. Like you did the right thing your whole life. You scrimped, you saved, you put your kids through college, you retired, and the savings that you have is just getting eaten up right now by the inflationary measures that are, this Fed has put us into. And that's just my commentary. But, I think rates have to go higher here. They have to go higher. I've said this for a while. Even if we were to bounce a little bit, we're not going to all-time highs. It's just like Bitcoin. All this is heavy now. Like this is a daily chart.
Fractal out a little bit too in the bonds
this is again. A daily chart. This is a daily chart going back to the beginning of 2020. So we're looking at a year and a half, Bob, and this isn't a short amount of time. All we're doing is spending some time in this latest bracket, March, April, May, June, 3.5 months, but nothing's being nobody's winning here except for in and out traders. There's no direction. We're in the directionless market, which is what markets do most of the time. And then when they break out and find a trend, like the trend it's been in, to your point, downward, I mean, if it breaks further, it's likely that it's going to go, if you fractal out.
I'm just curious if you fractal out, if you have that same 130 level to count on the flag.
Well, look, this is a weekly. This is where it stopped on the first one, right? This is right where it should have stopped, and it did, right on the point of control. So we bounced above it, and now we're going to roll back over. I think we're going to go, I still think we're going lower. It doesn't look, I don't know. It's bullish on the long-term chart, and we bounce, but now in the short-term chart, we can't get above 162. So for it to continue to be bullish, for me, it's got to have a closing over 162 on a month end, on a Friday, then a month end. So, if they can do it in the next 2 weeks, great. If they can't, you got to
sayonara, hit the door.
I think you just have to, again, look at it that way. And there's kind of contingent trades there based on what the price action ends up doing. Right. And it's not very definitive. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the bonds.
Right on. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the equity indexes. We got the big four, And for me, we've talked about this for a couple of days. The Dow in particular, that chart looks broken to me, and it looks different than the other three. By far, looks the weakest.
You
I don't
know,
know. What do you make of that? I mean, we are on the daily in the Dow. Hold on, let me bring that up. And
go ahead.
let me fractal out from the daily first in the Dow. Dow Jones.
The Jones.
But you're looking at here, 3 days in a row now in lower momentum, those bands rolling, right? Rolling. This hitter is getting cold, Matt. You know, the great managers of baseball understand that the 300 hitter or the 400 hitter sometimes hits 175, and you got to figure out what the hell's going on with them. But for me, like the Dow is rolling over here on the daily. The 2-day, we don't look at that very much, below the average. The 3-day, come on, we're going to walk it right out. The 3-day, I thought this was interesting, unable to, on this rally back, and this looks the same on the weekly, to recapture up momentum on the 3-day. Same in the weekly, almost pinged it, unable to capture up momentum. Now, what it has going for it is still this momentum of the lines, the standard deviation lines still pointing north. But the top line has fully, collapsed and is collapsing. That portends to me probably a rollover here, especially in the Dow. The other three don't look like this at all. I mean, on the weekly, the Russell is still in up momentum. The NASDAQ made new all-time highs, still in up momentum on the weekly. And the SPOOs, still just grinding right at all-time highs. So the other three for sure aren't painting the same exact picture. I just, there's a leak in the boat when the Dow starts to look like that. I don't care what you tell me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at, let me give you a little different view, just because I think it's good. Instead of looking at the futures and the Dow futures, I'm just going to look at the diamonds. All right. And this is the ETF for the Dow, and it hit all-time highs, 351. We're currently at 343.62. This is a weekly chart. So this is going back again to 2015. This is about 6.5 years, 7 years. And again, moonshot, and put up your ladder. The ladder's still holding when it comes to the weekly and the daily for that matter. So I'll just throw that out real quick. But you start, and you can kind of see if you've been doing this for a while, you can see a little rolling here, right? We tried to test that high, but couldn't get to it. And then you can really see that bob on a 1 hour chart. And this is where, again, this is why you need to fractal in and out. And now you go, oh, this is more interesting, because now we're looking at the most recent, 6 weeks of trade. This is 6 weeks of trading and hourly. Each one of these candles is 1 hour. Real simple, real basic. And again, you're high up here at 351. And you can see we're in balance for the last 6 weeks right here, right where we're trading, 343. So this is, and we've been here the last 2 or 3 days, just kind of deciding, are we going to bounce or are we going to go lower? Well, today we're a little bit lower, not significantly, but we're down, 0.6% again in the Dow. Now, when it comes to the NASDAQ, I'll just bring that one up real quick, and let's take a look at the Qs just for,
Again, not futures bound. This is the Qs ETF.
Yep, this is the Qs. I think it's, what is it? Still QQQ. And if we were to look at the weekly, it's not as 30 stocks is a lot easier to have a nice good trend, but with 100 stocks you get some shakeouts. But there's still 4 or 5 that basically make up 80% of the NASDAQ, and those are the FANG stocks. So we made an all-time high here. We just made an all-time high again 2 days ago. But again, we couldn't hold it, Bob. And when you come back to we'll look at the daily. Again, you see it kind of bouncing, making new highs. The volume decreasing, by the way, as you're making new highs, which is never something I like to see. If you have true momentum, you have true volume going up. The only time this market gets higher volume is when we sell off. You see it. Look, every spike, boom, boom. All the volume spikes are down here on the sell-offs only. So what that tells me is everybody is levered to the masses. Matter of fact, I think I sent you a stat on that hedge funds now are fully levered. They're fully 99.9% using their leverage across the board, which to me probably means they're going to be squeezed some more. It's going to go higher. What,
Well, I
but
mean, I think that also, yeah. I mean,
but, and then you start looking at this, and again, we made that new high, but only one day. We're not closing on a week. We're not closing on a month at a new high. We're just making for right now, a 1 day high. And a 1 day high is not a trend. 2 days makes a trend, I guess. 3 is better. 4 is even greater. But you know how that works. To me, this is not like, look at how much work it's taken just to get back in the last 6 weeks to the old highs. So yeah, they squeezed, anybody that had their stop there, they took them out, but there was no other buyers after that. That's what it tells me. There's no other buyers today.
right on, man. Right on. Let me jump right back to Bitcoin just for a second, and that's what we'll cover in the in crypto after dark. Nuance of fractaling. And that's, I'm coming back to the monthly here in Bitcoin, and this is Bitfinex's monthly. But I want to just point out that up momentum level, and you had 48,000, I believe. I had 40,000. We're above the week. No, this is 45,360. And I want to just point that out because there's a lot of people that are saying that this is in, the bottom's in. We're going to go to 6 and we're going to retest the highs. It very well may, but believe me, this is another level there's going to be a very vocal argument at this point here. With all of the volume that is trapped above these levels, there's certain numbers of people that are saying, fuck, I was ready to pull the trigger at 30,000. You're telling me I get 45,000 now? Thank you very much. I'm out. And, that's part of the psychology in trading is like, fuck, I'm going to take the loser, but I'm long from 55,000. I'm not waiting for the scratch. If you give me 45,000, thank you very much for playing. I'm done. I'm out of here. I don't know. It's part of that nuance. And the other thing, somebody reached out and said, "Are you in?" And once I looked at this monthly, I'm like, no, I'm going to be very patient here. And the other reason why, Matt, is the last two shakeouts here, and we've talked about this, have lasted months and months and months. Right? It hasn't been what this appears to be a 2-month thing. It's been 8, 9, 12, 14 months down and sideways activity. So prove it to me by some momentum on the weekly and out of, challenge that monthly momentum level, close above it in the next 2 weeks. And maybe I'll change my mind and think that this is a correction and not a crypto winter. That's what I'm seeing.
Well, again, what's your time frame and how do you want to trade? If you're looking at a 1 month chart, Bob, you're hitting all-time highs for the month right now as we're live on the air. 41, 143. We just broke out and squeezing. They're squeezing to the bejeezing. But again, you fractal out a little bit here. Not a lot new. For me, 42,000 is still a key go, no-go level, not 41, not 40. Those are not magic numbers. But this, if you can get into this hole, and that little hole, and I think that's what it's going to fill. It's going to go to 42,000, and then we'll have to make a determination. Are we going to continue up a little bit higher? But again, don't forget, you have all these other, you have these areas up in here still. You got this one, and you got this one. I'm just roughly drawing. So yeah, you might climb up to your point. You might climb up to 46. Then you got all these people that just want to get the fuck out. So trap games. So I'm not doing anything. I'm not long or short. I would be short now 46 to 53 or so, that area. This level right up in here, I'd be short. But I see no solid reason to trade. And the reason I say that, Bob, is in the last week, right? This isn't a new rally. This is the other thing you have to talk about. Not that it can't go, because we've seen Bitcoin do this, but just don't forget that 1 week from today, we were trading below 30,000. So we've gone from 30 to 42, which is 40%, Bob. And hey, 40% here and there for Bitcoin is natural, but it's not normal.
Right on.
It's like AMC being up 50% in the last 3 days too. It's like, okay, dead cat, again, bounces in a bear market are violent. And we're seeing violent bounces right now. That's what you're seeing in AMC. You saw it in GME, and then they crush it. GME's down, a big chunk again today. It was down $13 earlier. I haven't looked at it since. AMC is up again, but it's up 50% in 3 days. I mean, good Lord, what do you people want? I mean, it's keep buying your $125 calls, I guess.
somehow AMC is going to change the world. All right, Matt, the last thing as we go here, back to the age of ambiguity. I'm constantly amazed at the world that we live in. And I wanted to share this from Russell Hillier. I believe he's some sort of MPP in Ontario. And as this tape rolls, he tries to go in to the parliamentary thing, and he's wearing a face mask, and she wants him to put on a mask, and he's like, "I'm not putting the mask on," and she's like, "Well, you are going to be reprimanded," you know. He goes in for this. Put me down for nay. That's it. And this also, you know, it wasn't long after this that the Canadian masses were watching the Montreal Canadiens play in Vegas to 35,000 screaming maskless fans.
Not quite that many. Not quite that many, but they definitely had a full arena. It was fun.
How many do you think they hold? 24?
20 probably.
20, 19?
Be my guess, yeah.
Anyway, the age of ambiguity, alive and well. Thank you, Russell, for standing your ground and telling them, I'm going to go, put me down for nay without a mask on.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. But
Right
what's
on.
the difference? Why is this plastic shield any different than a breathable bullshit mask? What's it like? Honestly,
Those viruses, they're very tricky. They're very tricky. And then, and then the best is the New York Times article interviewing the head of the Wuhan lab, right? And if you want to be protected, let me see if I can find that tweet, because if you want protection, hold on. Let's just be clear. If you want protection from viral load in the air, where is it? Come on. New York Times, it was your big lead story. I can't find it anywhere. Hold on. COVID. Hold on with me. Where's the New York Times with COVID?
COVID.
Because I want to show you what your PPE should looks like. Ah, son of a bitch. Give me a break. Hold on. It was trending. All right, I hate Twitter. I officially hate Twitter. Anybody else hate Twitter? I think she's the chief of the Wuhan lab. Nope, I'm not getting that. Hold on, stay with me. This is real time. Wuhan. Come on, what the? Search that shit. Oh my God. Hold on, maybe I had it in here with the Wuhan lab.
The Wuhan flu.
You got to see it, man. You got to see it. Come on, Wuhan lab. Oh, we're losing audience left, right, and fucking center. Wuhan lab latest. I cannot. How about John? Oh, there we go. Thank you. Well, this is Canada, but that's what you need.
Oh,
hold on. Let me share it. God damn, I thought I was sharing this whole time. If you think you need a face mask to protect yourself from the virus, you might want to consider this is what you need. You need a fully blown up suit around you.
Right.
Because viruses are really, really small. I don't know, Matt. We live in the upside down, but none of that going on in the arena in Las Vegas.
They had the full-on cheerleaders going. They had crowd just going bananas. It was great. I love Stanley Cup hockey. It's just the best.
And then, Matt, what do you make of everybody all over Jon Stewart because he had an opinion? Again, no opinions that aren't aligned with the narrative are allowed. Jon Stewart's going to get canceled now from the left because he said it. He believes it came from the Wuhan lab. He was actually rather gregarious.
Really?
the show with, who's the other? I can't even think of its name. Jon Stewart, definitely Jon Stewart. Whatever. It's another story for another day. Matt, lastly, before we go, another winning internet picture. China playing chess with the G7. So much ambiguity out there in the world, and it seems like China pulls a lot of strings, a lot of places. And now you got the Ukraine joining NATO, and the Ukraine is against the Russian gas pipeline. Apparently, they have their own pipeline. There's got to be some beefing going on between Hunter and the Ukrainians over his dad letting the Russian pipeline go through. I don't know. It's a very complicated world that we live in.
Yeah, those are expensive consultation fees that he's got to earn. So, he's busy. I mean, he's busy writing books and going on Kimmel and talking about how great he is. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're getting for their money, quite honestly.
All right, Matt, as we go, why don't you just keep pushing yourself back and disappear from the screen? It's like a Copperfield show here at Market Vitals. Please join us at marketvitals.io. Please ask questions inside the network. We are ready, willing, and able to do analysis. Our opinions are opinions, and everybody has them. They're like assholes, right? But the numbers don't lie. The numbers are the truth. The last price is the only thing that's important. I believe that. You believe that. And when we talk about risk and reward around real numbers, that is an adult conversation around trading, right? It's like, that's great. Where are you wrong? Where are you right? Where are you taking the profit? What are you going to do with the money? Let's go have a nice time. That's what I say.
That's what I say too.
All right, Matty, you have a great day.
Thank you, Bobby. Talk soon.